Releasing dopamine.
What's up, guys? Voicenote coming in the building. Like, comment, and subscribe. Wagwan peeps, are we there with another? I know I'm banger here. This is a serious matter. But anyway, peeps, just like, comment, share, and subscribe because it really helps out your Jamaican YouTuber for sure. But anyway, peeps, no more itching. Right into it.
So I was one of the passengers who flew in yesterday from John F. Kennedy to Kingston Norman Manley Airport via JetBlue on the charter flight. It was roughly 96 passengers on board. We all had the social distancing with no one occupying the middle seat. Upon arrival in Jamaica, the Ministry of Health met the aircraft with about 3 personnel just to go over some detail about how the procedure will go after we re-deplane the airplane. Anywho, about 10 minutes later after they did their introduction, we were able to deplane the aircraft. We were given hand sanitizer, etc., of course, once we got off the aircraft. And as we proceeded to the immigration and customs, we were met with more MOH officials who then took our passport information, asked us this, told us to sign the consent paperwork and all that stuff. Once we got through, we went to another cubicle where they had different members of Ministry of Health, again, assessing more questions, the same questions, generating more questions. And then we had to sign a consent that we're gonna go in quarantine for 14 days, etc., etc. The immigration and custom procedure was very, very fast. I must say, they did a good job. And so we thought that everything was gonna go well. I was one of the first person who exited the airport, and I was told to walk that direction straight ahead to exit the airport. Once I got outside, I noticed that they had lunch set up from Island Grill for passengers. So while I was out there waiting for others to come out, I asked if they had like a vegetarian option for those who don't eat meat. She was like, no, they're very sorry, that's what they had. So I just ended up grabbing a bottle of water. It's fine, because I said maybe when we get to the hotel, they'll have more options for us. You know, since they did say we have to pay $20 US a day. Once I got on the bus, I think roughly 18 more persons joined me. Along with the baby, made it to be 20 people on board. The first 9 rows far away from the bus driver were empty. They started filling persons up from the back of the bus all the way to the back of the bus. So it was like 20 of us, even though we all had our own seat. It was just so clustered back there that everyone was just put to the back of the bus. No complaints there, I get it, but I just figured they just need a roughly 2 or 3 seats away from the driver that will consider social distancing. Finally, we got on the bus. We sat on the bus for roughly hour and a half or 2 hours maybe, waiting on other persons to come out the airport, I guess, to load the remaining buses that were behind us. After that, we sat and we waited a little bit longer. We then had some police and soldiers escort us from Norman Manley Airport all the way to St. Anne's. The whole journey, the bus driver told us that we probably would have made a pit stop, but no pit stop was made. You had persons on there wanted to use the bathroom. Finally, we got to the Grand Bahia, something like that, the hotel in St. Anne's. And once we got there, we were parked in a abandoned lot. Persons asked if they could get off the bus to use the restroom. They were told there's no restroom available for them to use. So then, of course, you know, most Jamaicans, they don't really care to go to a bathroom. So they said they don't care. They want to get off the bus to use the bathroom. It took at least 15 minutes for the person to come back and say, okay, you could go use the bathroom in the bush. Yes, in the bushes. Anyway, those who needed to use the restroom decided to use the bushes for their lavatory. Got back on the bus. We waited another hour and a half, 2 hours. we were told that they're still checking in persons from the earlier flight. Mind you, our flight was delayed from JFK 1 hour, and the Miami flight that left out of Fort Lauderdale was on time, so I know they got here roughly 10 a.m. or so. We waited. Finally, other passengers on the bus was now getting aggravated, irritated, you name it. Most of them want to use the bathroom. Most of them don't want to go into a bush and pee because they just don't feel like they should have to stoop that low to go into someone's bush just to use the restroom. No water was offered to us, even to the newborn baby that was on the bus with us. We asked the nurse numerous times if we could have water for the baby, not even showing concern about us, just water for the baby. And of course, we were ignored. And then if we were told they're going to come back with more water, we were lied to. Finally, we were able to get off the bus to grab our luggages. They discontinued the elevator, so none of the passengers will be able to use the elevator. So we have to climb stairs ranging from the 3rd floor to the 5th floor. Most passengers have 2-3 big luggages and stuff like that. They discontinued the elevator, saying that the elevator is not working, but we all know the elevator was working because the door kept on opening and closing. So we were forced to take the stairs. I didn't have a problem taking the stairs as I didn't have that much luggage with me. But you have other persons out there, mostly females, who weren't able to lift such a heavy load to bring up the stairs. No one helped. No one helped. We just tried to help each other. The soldiers watched the ladies struggled. No one helped. Fast forwarding. We all got a room. It was never assigned. They just had the room door open and you just walk in and choose one. Once we walk into the room, I noticed there was no amenities, no towels, no nothing for you to shower with, no soap, no nothing. We then asked about dinner. We were told we would have dinner. No one came and gave us anything to eat. Now, mind you, most of us been traveling all day. We didn't really get anything to eat in the airports in New York because most of the restaurants and all the restaurants there is closed. And then when we got to Kingston, we weren't able to get anything else because we just had to literally go outside. So those who ate the Island Grill had something on their stomach. Those who couldn't eat the Island Grill was out of luck, myself included. Finally, I cried myself to bed knowing I have an underlying health condition issue, and I have to eat something for me to take my medication. I couldn't do so I cried myself to sleep. Finally, I probably fell asleep. Around 12:10 a.m. this morning, bang, 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 bang on the door as if I'm being evicted. Only see a soldier with another booklet and a pamphlet, whatever he had, to ask me more questions, the same question that I've been answering since I got to the airport. Being annoyed and over the day already, I said, is there anything to eat? His response was, I don't know nothing about any food. I'm just here to get your name and to see if you was exposed to COVID-19 or have anybody around you that was exposed. I politely told him that you could come back tomorrow and ask me those questions. I'm going back to bed. The morning arrived. I woke up. It was roughly 9 o'clock. I didn't hear anything from anyone. Still haven't eaten, most of us. And 10:20 came and they brought breakfast. Mind you, the night before they asked us about dietary. They asked us what we were allergic to, what we were not allergic to, and we gave all that information at least 3 times to 3 different persons. I woke up only to see a piece of yam and another piece of something, a dasheen, whatever they call it. Hard, looked like it was sitting outside for days, and with corned beef. Mind you, I'm vegetarian, so I cannot intake any corned beef. The corned beef was just sitting there for so long that the oil started to come out of it and just settle. So that was what they gave for breakfast. I notified someone again to let them know that I don't eat meat, and if someone will be able to just resend me a plate with just the food on it without no meat, then I'll be able to have something to eat. I'm still waiting. 2 p.m. arrived. They came with lunch. The lunch was rice with macaroni salad and a piece of fish, I'm assuming. Not assuming, but a piece of fish. When I opened the box, I noticed a piece of fish because I smelled it, and I took the box out of the door to let the person who served me the meal know that I'm allergic to seafood, and also I'm a vegetarian. She said there's nothing she could do about it. That's how they send the food up, and that's how they have to serve it. And I said, but you guys have asked us many times what are we allergic to, why we can't eat this, or what we cannot eat from what we can eat, just to tell me that this is how it has to be served. I ended up putting the food back outside as I couldn't eat it. Instead of she tried to change it or try to like bring me some rice with macaroni salad by itself, as she walked away, she's gonna comment under her breath, oh, fish don't eat fish. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not concerned about my sexual preferences or anything concerning my sexuality, because I'm not ashamed of who I am. But your comment, and that comment was very, very degrading. And for her to say something like that in the midst of what we're going through was just so uncalled for. Now, I live alone in Kingston with a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment that I occupied by myself. No one asked us anything about if we lived alone. No, they did ask you that at the airport, in which we answered. This is day 2. We have not been tested. Nothing has been done. They put on the paper that they're going to come by every 5 hours or 12 hours to do temperature check. I only had one done this morning. It's like they're not keeping the words that they spoke to the public. And I felt like they shouldn't have taken us away from our home if they were going to treat us like pig. Mind you, every food they bring up to serve is very, very cold. It's not edible. Like, no one will be able to eat that in their right mind if they have common sense. The way they're treating us, they're scorning us like as if we have the virus. And we weren't even tested. They just assuming we have the virus because we're coming from America. Mind you, some of us that were stuck in America stayed in for all those days while we were able to come home because we were afraid to go outside. But no one is even listening to that. I get it. It's protocol and they're following it. But for you to even scorn someone that you're supposed to try to help to maintain a better health, it's not happening at this facility at all. And that's exactly what they're treating it as, a facility. For crying out loud, we're in a hotel. The least you could do is give us hot water. The least you could do is treat us as a person. You know, they treat us like animals. They treat us like we have done a crime or committed a crime. Every one of us, including myself, feel like we're literally in a jailhouse. You know, they knock on the door and leave the food for us to pick it up. And by the time we come in, try to show concern about what we don't eat from what we don't eat, they're already walking off away from us. No one wants to get close to us. And I mean, I understand you're afraid. But keep in mind, they have to also understand they're the one who have been around persons who have been positive. I haven't. Most of us haven't. They know that, but yet they're still treating us as if they know something that we don't know. No test has been done. The Minister of Health came by to speak to those and listen to certain concerns. Everybody concern was about the same thing, the food, the way we're being treated, no hot water to bathe in, no amenities, no nothing to get us through. If they knew they wasn't going to provide all those things, they should have sent out an email to those who were traveling in to let them know so we could have those things packed and be much more prepared. We were told we'll get 3 meals per day. They have not kept their words with that either. And they around here taking people preferences, what you're allergic to from what you're not allergic to, but you're not following the list. They're not treating us kind at all. I would rather be home in my own home with a police officer guarding my door and stayed in for 14 days than to be here living like an animal. Not even my dog I treat like this. And it's very, very disgusting. And nothing is changing. Those photos, those posts that persons are posting online, they're not lying. They're telling the truth. We're being treated as prisoners, as if we've committed a harsh crime. Because not even prisoners should be treated as such, because at the end of the day, they're human beings, despite the crime they committed. But in our case, the only crime we committed was to try to come home. Try to come home to a place where we call home, where we consider our beautiful island. We're supposed to be treated with the utmost respect because that's what we're putting out. But it's not happening in this situation. I am disgusted by the government and how and by the staff that they hired or who they have volunteering, because they're not being nice. And in a present time like this, we need guidance. We need persons who's going to treat us with respect. Some of us are taken away from our family. Some of us can't even see anybody. Soon as we land, we got off the plane, onto the bus, straight to St. Anne's. Nobody to say hello to. They discontinued the Wi-Fi. They cut us all away from the rest of society. They just want us to live in fear. And it's not, I'm surprised that persons is still able to smile through all of this, because the way we're being treated. We really, really need help. They need to come up with a structure where those who are not positive be able to go back home to their home, so we could better take care of our own self. Because my life is in their hands and they're doing a horrible job at it.
My fellow Jamaicans, the cohort of Jamaicans that returned yesterday from the United States and Canada under the controlled re-entry program has been encountering a number of difficulties at their quarantine location. These difficulties relate primarily to delays in the admission process at the quarantine facility and the lack of timely provision of meals. First of all, I must unreservedly apologize to every returning citizen who has had to endure less than favorable conditions. The issues encountered are completely unacceptable. I asked Minister Christopher Tufton and Minister Matthew Samuda to visit the quarantine facilities today to get a first-hand view of the situation. Arising from the visits, the government has already taken some remedial actions, and we will do everything we can to completely rectify the situation. A preliminary assessment has revealed that the situation arose from capacity issues and unforeseen circumstances such as weather and a power outage. This against a background of heightened panic and stigma. We have made much progress on several aspects of the controlled re-entry program. The application and approval process is fully managed online through the Jam COVID-19 platform, either on the website or via the iOS or Android app. We have streamlined the process at the airport, with the processing time cut by half compared to the previous cohort that arrived on Wednesday last week. Many persons, spanning several ministries and agencies, have worked tirelessly to get our citizens home. It is extremely unfortunate that this situation has dampened the happiness that our citizens would have had upon returning home to Jamaica. The government is very sympathetic to the plight of overseas Jamaicans who wish to return home, many of whom are under severe hardship. As a result, the government has gone above and beyond to facilitate the return of our Jamaicans. This has stretched the capacity of our public health system and our frontline workers. The reality is that we now have over 600 persons in quarantine and isolation facilities to manage. We also have 4 quarantine areas in St. Mary and many other active contact tracing exercises ongoing. This while conducting all the other public health duties. While we are working assiduously to bring home our citizens, it is clear we cannot continue to overextend ourselves, as this increases the risk both to the general public health and our returning Jamaican citizens. We have to work within our capacity while we seek to build additional capacity. We are now beyond our quarantine capacity. It will therefore be at least 14 days before we are able to accommodate any sizable additional cohort. I have directed the ministries and agencies involved to use this period to explore ways of rapidly scaling up our capacity, both in accommodations and logistics, to ensure a positive experience for all. Over 8,000 Jamaicans have already applied to return home through the Jam COVID-19 system. To accommodate this number, utilizing state quarantine would mean an inordinate delay in their return. The government is already working towards the development of a home quarantine solution, incorporating technology that will facilitate the geofencing and monitoring of persons re-entering Jamaica to ensure that they stay in their designated quarantine area. We continue to manage this process in a manner that keeps all Jamaicans safe. We again thank you for your patience and understanding, and I wish to assure Jamaicans overseas who wish to return home that your government is working assiduously to get you back home as soon as possible. And again, for those Jamaicans in quarantine, we know it is a difficult time. We know it is a psychologically stressful time. We will therefore redouble our efforts to ensure that you have a satisfactory experience as you transition safely from quarantine to your homes.